Sounded great, man. Thanks.
Thank you.
No, thank you. So you just sang about rock and roll, and there's another song on your record about rock and roll, and for me, every time I read about rock and roll, there's two things now, and it's been Dave Grohl forever, who's just been anointed like the patron saint of rock and roll, which totally well deserved, but like I feel like that's the only mainstream thing you can ever read about is Dave Grohl associated with rock. Mm-hmm. And then now it's Greta Van Fleet, who you've opened for it, and whether it's shitting on them or whether it's commending them for bringing back a sound, it bothers me. I don't know as a recording artist, because I listen to your record and I'm like, damn, it's great, and I listen to like Catfish and Bottlemen and all these rock bands, and it's like, look for it and it's still here. So I'm just curious what's your sense about rock music? It's not dead, it's just not going to be played on the radio.
Yeah, it's not dead at all. You just have to look for it. It's not in the mainstream. If you turn on your radio looking for some rock and roll, I reckon it's like going to the dump and saying, where are all the flowers? Right. You're just in the wrong spot. So
you think it'll ever go back to the way it was, where it was, back in the day when I was in school, which was in the 40s, back in my day, no, but it was a mix. So you would hear like a top 40 song, and then you would hear like a Green Day song, and then you would hear like, maybe a Pearl Jam song. Like, right. I think those days are gone, especially with streaming and everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the music industry was in full force. I think the 90s were, me and Marshall were talking about it not too long ago. It's the most profitable 10 years for the music industry. You had this machine that had been getting geared up and pieced together since at least the late 1930s, and then it had really met its peak and was running hard and fast in the 90s, and it had yet to have been shattered by, say, like Napster and digital distribution. So there's that, and I think at the moment you can make a lot more dough releasing singles and really having Instagram has taken over the classic fan club. So now we all have our own fan club, and we all have an account, and you have your people there. Things used to be literally much more analog and required fans to really actually cast their vote with their dollar bill, as opposed to just saving the playlist on Spotify and then paying a monthly subscription for everything, that sort of thing. So I think the music that is successful right now is successful because it can make the most money the quickest. Rock and roll lives in albums, and it always has. I cannot think of my favorite rock and roll band's EP or my favorite rock and roll band's single or anything like that. It lives in albums. Albums are expensive to make, and the studios nationwide are closing down. They can't afford to keep their doors open. Whereas I can get myself a SoundCloud and sit in my bedroom and make beats or record whatever I want and put it out there one at a time. The thing is that the market is incredibly saturated as well. I don't think that's a bad thing. Because the good stuff is still going to rise to the top.
Right. I think what was refreshing for me, probably a lot of people, 17 is what hooked me into you, and I'm actually grateful for AltNation on Sirius, because they're kind of like old school, where they find new music, they play it, if it sticks, they leave it up to the listener, which is cool, and I know that you did their tour, but what was refreshing was that you actually released a full-length album, and I miss it in that from song to song it's different too, and I actually miss listening to full-length albums where every song just even bleeds to the next one.
Right.
Those days are completely gone where you're like, I don't know what the hell I just listened to, because track 2 sounds like track 7 and all that, but with you, just I want to bring it back to your band, is that song to song everything's different.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why you had the interlude or something, but I really appreciated that, because from song to song there's the 70s influence, there's the 90s alt rock influence, then there's the now influence. It's pretty cool.
Right. Our phones have taught our minds to scroll. I think kind of our collective attention span has gone down, and so an album can seem like a behemoth task, to listen to. Like wherever would I find 45 minutes, or however could I pay attention to it for 45 minutes?
Right. Or like 30 seconds. Right?
Yeah.
We're having like such a deep conversation. I think it's because we're sitting on the couch. Like, I really do. If we were sitting in chairs, like the conversation would be like, "What did you think of the Catfish? It was great. Alicia Keys killed it." No, I'm never like that. Sorry. But talk to me a little bit about I know that you went to Nashville early on. Like you were from Arkansas, you went to Nashville,
Yeah.
and like Nashville is kind of like for like so many artists. Was it the same deal with you?
I was blown away at the amount of musicianship that I was surrounded by.
Yeah.
That's a fact. The rest of it, it's just like any town.
Right.
It's got its scenes and stuff like that.
Yeah. But did it influence your sound at all, or just kind of? I guess when you're around creative people, it's kind of like maybe it helped you in that direction, where in terms of working on something.
Right. Yeah, it's you see. You gotta live in a house with at least like 4 or 5 guys in order to afford to live there. At least at the point that we are, and so your roommate's making a tune upstairs, and there's one making a tune downstairs, and then I'm grabbing my axe and I gotta get down to the basement and make one better than both of them. So there is that. There's competition. Also, there are just so many very good guitar players, and so it made me. Been sitting in my room for the past 2 years playing the backing tracks and just trying to bone up and get better. So it's good competition.
But I mean, growing up in a small town, I would imagine like that was another outlet for you. So you, in some way, already had that, right?
Yeah, I played, but it was very easy to become complacent. You're the best one in town. By default, you're the only one in town. So you teach your friends how to play the instruments so that you guys can form a band. You were friends before you had a band, and in Nashville, you're in a band before you're friends.
Where are you now?
I'm in Nashville.
You're still in Nashville?
Yeah, over on the east side.
Okay. What's the next couple of months look like? I know that we're about to head into like festival season and stuff. I know you're in the midst of a headlining tour, but like, what's the next couple of months look like for you?
Ideally, as soon as we get back, and I always do this, I'll ring up the booking folks and go, let's get back on the road. Let's get back on the road ASAP. What's the nearest, most feasible thing that we can possibly do? Because I think that's really the way to break a rock band. Our tour manager in Europe, when we were out with Highly Suspect, he said it best as Simon. He said, best way to break a rock and roll band is 200 shows in a year. So the Johnny Appleseed thing still works. You take your show and you drop it town to town, do the best that you can possibly do, and people remember. So you got to be a part of it. And if you get back from that and things aren't panning out, maybe there's your sign. But okay, so ideally, we'll hit tour ASAP. I'm not sure. And then also, I've got a whole lot of material, and ideally, we go into the studio ASAP as well and record the next album. Yeah.
3-song EP?
No. I'm thinking a double LP. Hell's Wells, Part 1, Part 2.
Love it.
Yeah, take the softer songs, stick them on the first one, release it first, do just all the straight from hell, rock and roll on the second one, release it, yeah. You have a Paul McCartney album and a John Lennon album,
I love it.
The pretty and the heavy.
I always wonder if like we can return to that. How everything's cyclical, and I know that like Vampire Weekend I think is doing a double CD or a double album or whatever. I wonder if that'll be one of the things that actually becomes, in like vinyl, like in a non-hipster way, like kind of, well, in a hipster way too, like kind of maybe come back. I wonder if like the full length will actually make the comeback.
We'll see. At this point, I think people see it as a terrific way to waste a lot of money.
Yeah.
So.
Waste away, my friend. Thanks, man.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.